Deciding where to grow or move your business can be full of unexpected delays. Or you could just go to Ohio. With billions invested in shovel-ready sites, a dedicated team whose only job is to tackle red tape, and 0% corporate income tax, Ohio makes it easy for your business to scale faster. In fact, Ohio ranked number 2 in the U.S. for lowest cost of doing business multiple years in a row. Your move. Learn more at jobsohio.com.
I'm Gary Birtles, one of the old gits from a long time ago. You've got to tune into Tricky Talks, I believe, so just do it. All the best.
Robertson, the first time we've seen them attack them, and there's Francis! Well, that's what I wanted to see Robertson do. And still Robertson, getting his shot in, and a goal! Robertson!
Hello and welcome along to the Tricky Talks podcast. Coming up this week, on the back of a heartbreaking loss to Liverpool, we'll discuss whether good performances alone are going to be good enough to keep Forest up, or are the lack of goals going to be their downfall. Plus, we'll be taking a look at all the remaining fixtures for West Ham, Spurs and Forest. First of all, I'm joined as always by Kate. How are you doing? I gather you got a cold, so we'll let you off. So maybe how are you doing is the wrong question to ask. How are you feeling, madam?
Yeah, I have got a little bit of a cold. I'm better than I was yesterday. Absolutely devastated yesterday, but a little bit better today.
Yeah, we'll get into that. And Mollo, good to see you on the shelf yesterday. First time there, of course, and it was a good experience, albeit for that last minute or two.
Yeah, no, good to see you. And I say it's always good up there, apart from right at the end. But great view, great atmosphere. Not the great result we deserved.
Yeah, who was the chap from West Ham that I met there with his daughter? What was his name? I met him before, but I couldn't remember what his name was.
Briggsy.
Oh, because he still lives out that way, doesn't he?
Yeah, he still lives in Highland,
yeah.
Oh, I'm saying addresses on public forum, should I?
I could always delete that. Right, so yeah, heartbreaking loss, as I said, due to an amazing period of injury time. We thought we'd clinched a draw when that first VAR was disallowed, but a range of emotions in that last 7 minutes. Talk to me, Kate, how you were feeling, because on the one hand, it's certainly a typical example of the Forest season, isn't it? You get the highs on the one hand and then you immediately followed by the lows on the other hand, and that certainly was the case at the end of the game yesterday, wasn't it? Was that what you were feeling?
I just felt the point was absolutely everything when I was sat in the ground. You know, West Ham had drawn. I've said before, we need to match them, not better them. And it felt like we were going to get the point. You know, we worked really, really hard for it. You know, set aside, and we will come on to our lack of goal scoring. It felt like it was a hard-earned but well-deserved point. When the first, well, I say the first disallowed goal because there should have been 2 disallowed goals. But when their first goal that was disallowed went in, I was sat with my head in my hands, just unbelievable, just gutted, devastated that we were going to lose it in this last minute. And then it came up on the screen that they were VARing it, and I was going, no, they'll never disallow it. It's Liverpool, they'll never disallow it. And then obviously they did. So then you're up on your feet, you're cheering, we're chanting, you're thinking, to all those people that have left early, we're going to do it now, and you're missing it. So then you're back up on your feet, and it's like, amazing, amazing, amazing. And then, do you know, when the next one went in, even though from where I was, and so it must have been from where you two were, you were just like, that's offside. It's offside. You know, and I had a much worse angle than you guys would have done, but still I was like, it's offside, it's an offside goal. And then when they didn't disallow it, you were just like, the mind blown emoji is all, you know. I was just, I don't understand what's happening, and you just want to rewind time, don't you? You want to rewind time and just go, no, because this isn't right, and then just absolutely just devastated.
Yeah, for the first one, it was so unbelievably fluky that I was there prior to it going for a VAR check. I thought, well, what can you do? It's just typical of a team down at the wrong end of the table where clearly it's a clearance, the ricochets off a Liverpool player and goes in, and that's just, when you're down on your luck, you're down on your luck. And I was gutted, and it had Darwin Núñez vibes to it, didn't it, because of what happened in 2 years ago in 24. But then when it went to the check, we don't have the benefit of the replays, but the very fact it went to a check at that point and you knew it was a ricochet, so it made me think there was some validity to actually doing the check in the first place. And obviously it was disallowed, and I never heard the referee's announcement, even though he did make one, because the noise was just like, it was almost as if we'd scored a goal, wasn't it, Mollo? You were there, and we were all jumping around, weren't we, as if we'd scored.
Celebrated exactly like it was a goal.
Yeah,
it was equivalent, in the stupid way football is now, it was equivalent of an equaliser, wasn't it, in effect?
It was,
instead,
yeah.
It's chalked off, I admit it's different. I never thought it was going to be disallowed, and like you, as soon as he said checking for handball, I thought we're in business here, because if it goes in the back of the net, it's a stupid rule in that, you know I've been consistent for a year or two now. I think anything that hits, let's say, the elbow or below, should be handball anywhere on the pitch, whether it's meant or not. But the rule still now really clearly states if it hits the hand and goes straight in, it's a goal. But the idiocy of it, if it hit his elbow and gone down and he'd have tapped it in, it would have counted. Because it was obviously natural. It's just, this rule is ridiculous. But the right outcome occurred at that point. And as Kate's alluded to, that second one, I said straight away, there's two of them offside.
Yeah, you said.
I don't know if it was the person who scored, if it affects the person who scored. From our angle, you could see across the line, but obviously not. Whatever. And having seen it back now, it's just, again, I'm fairly consistent in that if you're in the 6-yard box, and I've seen it a lot with Arsenal goals this season, haven't we? For me, if you're in the 6-yard box, you're interfering with play. It's ridiculous. I think it's probably a 50-50 one, you could argue. I don't know, really. They took ages to decide. But the atmosphere at that point, it was just classic Forest, wasn't it? From feeling quite good because we were getting a draw, to the absolute low of a fluky goal, to the high of it being effectively equalised, albeit in a different way, to the low of what happened again. It's just classic being a Forest fan, isn't it?
Yeah, I was less confident of the second one being disallowed than I was the first. And again, it had Darwin Núñez vibes to it. Danny said to me, as they had the throw-in down our right-hand side, it had Darwin Núñez vibes to it. And never did I believe that McAllister would score again. It's just an unbelievable series of events to score not one but two, albeit one was disallowed. And I was less confident that one was going to be ruled out because I missed the cross. I was looking at the cross at Szoboszlai as he took it rather than across the line, so I didn't see the two that looked to be in an offside position, so I'd missed that, so I was less confident that one was going to be overturned. Nevertheless,
were you less confident that it was going to be overturned because it would have been a second one overturned for Liverpool, or because you didn't think it was offside?
I missed what was. I didn't look across the line to spot them potentially being offside, so I didn't think.
Well, I said, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Live.
I remember, but I missed it.
As he crossed it, went, that's offside. Yeah. And then obviously went on and scored.
I
said, I don't know for sure if the man who scored was, whoever put it in the back of the net was offside, but there was definitely people offside at the point of cross. Yeah,
as I said, I was looking at Szoboszlai, so I wasn't looking along the line. And when it went in, I said to Danny, I didn't see anything wrong with that one. Obviously, it was a lot closer than what people thought, but I wasn't confident that was going to be overturned. But can you imagine if that one had been overturned?
Brilliant.
Excuse me, to have two of those in injury time. One is a bit extraordinary, but to have two of those, that's the kind of luck you need when you're down the bottom. As I said earlier, when you get the rub of the green. If that one had
been overturned, surely Anthony Taylor would have just added another 10 minutes on until Liverpool scored again. Yeah. Because let's be honest, it was 95 minutes that whistle was supposed to go, and they scored in the 90
plus 7.
98th minute.
Yeah, I'd missed how many minutes there were for injury time as well. So let's blame it on Anthony Taylor as well as VAR, shall we? But even in between those two incidents, Forest had an opportunity to score because it almost like after the first one, it gave them a new lease of life, didn't it? Because they went up the other end. I think Williams went on a mazy run down the left, got a really good cross in, which I think was that the one that led to Sangare whizzing it past the
rocket
post.
Shot.
Yeah. So they nearly managed to snatch it themselves. But as I said, all of this doesn't change the end result, does it? And it was. It wasn't a performance that Forest deserved, was it, Kate? Because they played really well right up to the end.
They did. They did play really well. There were so many individual outstanding performances that made it a collectively great performance by the team. And I think there's even been people in the media that have actually given us some credit for that, that I've been reading, that we do have this amazing defence and we do have one of the best midfields, and that was absolutely evident. And as I was watching it, I was thinking, I'm going to give this person man of the match, and I'm going to give this person man of the match. No, it's got to be that person for man of the match now, because there were all these moments and pieces of play and that were just great and were really good to watch and made you think, yes, we are, and certainly in the first half, we were bossing it. We really were. However, again, as we're going to come on to, you have to score goals. We cannot, even with the exception of the disallowed goals, we cannot 0-0 our way to safety. We can't.
Let's talk about that then, because Vitor Pereira has now had 2 games in charge and both games have been really good performances. But are good performances alone going to be enough to keep them up, because they are having trouble scoring goals? Or they're not having trouble creating chances, because they've had now the last 2 home games, 50 plus, 53 I saw somewhere, and they haven't scored. However, you hear the media types saying, Forest are playing well, they're not going to go down. What they fail to realise is they're not scoring, and they've scored 25 league goals in 27 games. So on the one hand you can say, yeah, it's all very well playing great football, but if you can't put the ball in the net, Mollo, you're not going to go up, are you? And that was what Steve Hodge echoed on Radio Nottingham on the way home. But you forget for a moment about the lack of goals. Are the performances good enough to keep them up, do you think? What would it take playing that? Can playing that well be enough to keep them up and hope they scrape home enough points?
Absolutely not. They've got to find a way to do better in the final third, because I'm not being negative Nelly here. We played really well, we pressed really well, but there was no difference to when we lost to Man City that'd be under Dykes, wouldn't it? Or that type of thing where we pummeled Man City and we couldn't score, and okay, referee's decision didn't go our way and they got a late goal, didn't they? But that final third is so frustrating, because yes, everybody played well, everybody worked hard, everyone pressed, and Liverpool second best all over the pitch for the majority of the game, but we never really looked like scoring. The only time, but I can only think of 2 really good chances. And like you say, we had all those shots again. Shots are no good if you can't hit the target. I mean, Sangare's rocket shot aside, that was an absolute drama. That could, fair play. But he had another chance earlier on that he didn't even hit the target. He had various chances, didn't hit the target. We had a one-on-one, which at the time, fair play, good save. But having seen it back, a player of Callum Hudson-Odoi's absolute quality, he's got 3 or 4 yards of goal to pick out, because the keeper just made himself big and he hit the keeper. Same as our keeper did. It was a really good game. So they had better chances than we had, even though we outplayed them. What we do have, I suppose, and great teams are built on defence, and as long as we keep Murillo fit, we've pretty clearly shown in the last 2 games why that's important, and that's not to be disrespectful to the replacements. As I've said before, Murillo is a class above most centre-backs in the division. Keeping the back door shut is not a massive problem for much of the game, but tactically there's no real change despite what people are saying. There's still a load of not very good crosses going into the box mostly. We've got it's so harsh because I love him, but we've got a flat track bully of a centre forward, haven't we, who can go out and pummel these crappy defensive teams with ex-Leicester players and score record numbers of European goals. But when he's got the chance to pull the trigger against Liverpool, he hesitated so long that old man Van Dijk gets a toe in. You know, we were right in line with that. We're like, and then it's gone. The chance is gone, and it's that. And you know, I can't recall him having any other actual chances beyond that. And that's not all his fault. But like the midfielders, nobody looks like scoring apart from, to be fair, Gibbs White when he gets headed opportunities. That threaded through passes that we need. We got that really good one on for Callum early on. Beyond that, what was there? The one that, to be fair, that I just talked about down the side for Jesus. But really, it was a lot of nearly passes again, wasn't it? That last pass, trying to thread it through the eye of a needle, and they get a toe on it, just like Reedy. Because I've seen the game ever so slightly differently in that I thought we dominated first half and created a couple of really good chances that we should have taken at least one. Second half, I felt the difference was we had them at arm's length first half and we defended it comfortably. Second half, we were on the stretch at the back and our back four was having to work much harder than it should have done, even though Liverpool weren't playing well and were banging it side to side all the time. They've got quality players. And in those last couple of minutes when we got out of jail once, I was watching Van Dijk because he was obviously going to be the danger. And I think it was Luca marked him really well and got a couple of headers in, but that one where they scored, when it came back out, Dominguez was left on his own to try and look after Szoboszlai, who was always going to find a yard of space to put the ball in, one-on-one. Yeah, because you've got the whole pitch to turn around, hasn't he, in effect, in the middle there. And then I watched Van Dijk just drifted, and I thought, oh. And then when the cross came in, as I said, I was like, oh, that's offside. Then we all know what followed. But we're not staying up if we can't defend properly at the back post and we can't score goals across the next 10 games, say. But the signs are there that somebody could get an absolute hammering soon, potentially.
So where are the goals going to come from, Kate? Because on the one hand, you've got Jesus, who's scoring for fun in the Europa League and setting records left, right and centre, but can't hit a cow's backside with a banjo in the Premier League. And for those of you that played FIFA, you know exactly where that's come from. You have Luca, who's not exactly set the world alight, but to be fair, he's not been with us that long. He doesn't look as though he can trap a bag of cement at the moment. You have Chris Wood, who's in the squad but injured. Is there hope of him returning? Because we need him if he is. And then you've got Awoniyi, who scored against Brentford and then hasn't had a look in since. So where are the goals going to come from then, Kate?
No, this came up in the Garibaldi Girls chat group, and I haven't had a chance to Google and see if it's correct. But
it is.
Is it that Chris
no
Wood
centre
was
forward
the
scored at
last
home since Brentford
to score at the City Ground for Forest?
Yeah.
So yeah. So I mean, you would have to say,
is that in the league?
Yeah, in the Premier League.
Well, in the Premier League. Yeah. So you would have to say, please come back now, Chris. Please, like now, like on Sunday, if at all possible. I don't know, because again, we love Jesus. You look at him, and everything about him, and more, in fact, is what you would want from your striker, what he has to offer, what his skill set is. Like, you look at him and you think he's an absolute... Was it Collymore that said he was a beast? Yeah? And how amazing he is. And yeah, he is. And I see all of that. I see all the good things that he does on that pitch. I do see them. But he isn't scoring goals. He isn't. And is it lack of service? Is it lack of confidence? I've said it before. I do think he often takes more touches than he needs, and he certainly did on Sunday. You know, if Chris Wood even is more of a presence in training and can mentor him a little bit, would that help? Possibly. Pereira, that has got to be his number one top job, even above the corner situation, which remains, to get them scoring goals. Because if he can't get them scoring goals, then our fate is sealed. You know, that is what I put on my analysis this week, because we cannot stay up without putting the ball in the back of the net. And at the moment, the most likely person in our team to do that is Morgan Gibbs-White. And he has got enough to do. And he is doing it. And so, yeah, one of the strikers has got to start scoring goals. You would want it to be Jesus. You would think it would be Jesus because of all the aforementioned stuff that he does and what quality he brings. It's not happening. Taiwo wasn't even on the bench again, which I don't entirely understand. I mean, obviously we're favouring Luca, but he seemed to offer very little to me when he came on. Also, there's Nets not being on the bench. Don't really understand that either. We need Wood back. We need him back.
Yeah, we do. Do you think, for those of you who haven't seen on X, Stan Collymore, you mentioned there, Kate, did sing Jesus' praises and says he's going to be a really good striker. Whether that's for Forest or somebody else remains to be seen, depending on what happens, again, depending on what league we're in. But do you think his struggles are this a combination of the fact that it's his first full season, he's still trying to adjust to the Premier League style of play, he's traditionally playing against two big centre-halves week in, week out, he's playing up front on his own due to the formation. All of those things combined, Mollo, I think, are probably the reasons why he's struggling, because in European football, teams play different, don't they? So he hasn't got the same physicality necessarily week in, week out, because he's not the biggest of strikers, even though he's great in the air, as we know. Do you think he needs a support striker up front to play alongside him, or what is it that's going to coax the goals out of him, do you think?
It's very simple, really, and it's an old coaching thing. His all-round play, and Kate's talking about, is absolutely superb. His hold-up play, his turning and things he was doing, he was winning free kicks, even when he wasn't getting free kicks sometimes that he should have got. It's very simple. In the 6-yard and the 18-yard box, he is a reactive striker, not a proactive striker. That's the coaching terminology. He's waiting for the ball. He's not making it happen. I don't mean that obviously he held on to the ball a bit too long. And what's frustrating, he strikes the ball really well. So just get your shot off more often and quicker, and without the extra look up or without trying to make it sit perfectly. Just get your shot in. But he's not proactive enough in the box, and that'll come. That's something you can learn. I think I've said it before, haven't we? Those little, just subtle 2-yard movements or stops, or pick a space at when the cross is hopefully coming in. Then pick a space. Right, I'm going to run into that space, and if you do it 10 times, the ball might land there once, and you've got a goal, and that's all you need to win a game, isn't it? Especially with our defence on form. So it's. He's got all the things you would want in a striker, except the one thing you want in a striker, isn't it? The goals. It sounds really daft. And I've got to be careful, I don't upset people who I know are already pulling their hair out because of the Calamuendo situation. If Jesus had gone to Germany or Italy or whatever at the same time as Calamuendo, he'd have 10 goals by now. The problem is, you're up against top quality centre-backs, top quality holding midfielders. There's no space and there's no time. And when you get that minuscule bit of time and space, you've got to use it the way someone like Chris Wood has learnt to do and has done. And he hasn't quite got there yet, because in those 50-50s outside the box, he's incredible. And you can see why he's picked him week in, week out. And we'll see how it transpires. But I think, someone was saying last night, I think it was, if we were to sell him this summer, we'd probably get 30 million for him. He's probably tripled his value because of what he's done in Europe. A European team would bite your hand off for that. But against top class Premier League players, he's not quite there yet in the box, is he? And it's becoming a bit of a Gary Birtles at Man United thing, isn't it? and you used Gary Birtle's famous phrase there, but about the banjo, and it's nobody wants Jesus to be a success more than me. I can promise you that, because I think he's so humble, his attitude, everything else about him, and the fact we only paid 10 million for him. I know why now, but if he comes good, it'll be like a great striker, because there aren't that many good strikers about in world football at the moment. A lot of teams are asked, for whatever reason, and he could be very quickly a really valuable asset. But something's got to change. He's got to start scoring just scoring the tap-ins, things like that.
You mentioned Callum Owendo. I don't know the ins and outs of his deal, his loan deal at Frankfurt, but is there an opportunity to recall him from that, do you think? Because
no point.
Isn't it not worth it, though, just to try something a little bit different, just to try and find a spark from somewhere to try and score those goals, Kate?
I think he's injured, isn't he?
Oh, is it? I don't know.
Pretty sure that he's injured already. So, if that's true, then no. And I'm inclined to agree with Mollo. I think that Callum Owendo is also not scoring goals and nowhere near the player that Jesus is. So what's the point? We have to give Luca a chance in that scenario. We have to potentially look at what Taiwo can offer, because he has still got something to offer. We did talk about that. He came on and scored a wonder goal. So there is something there for him to offer. And so no, I don't think Callum Owendo is the answer. I've not ever been one of the people that is screaming, why on earth did we let Callum Owendo go? I kind of always understood that decision. I think we've asked an awful lot of Jesus, and we've asked an awful lot of Jesus very, very quickly, and I'm sure when he was signed, it wasn't the plan for him to be the only striker starting every game and expected to bang in as many goals as Chris Wood did last season. I'm sure that was never the plan. So I do think that is definitely contributing to why that hasn't quite happened for him. But no, I think we have to back him. He's what we've got. We have to hope that Pereira is the coach that is going to get those boots popping goals into the back of the net and hope that Chris Wood is back again.
Yeah, I mean, it's all set up for Chris Wood to return at the end of the season and score the goals that will keep Forest up. That'll be the dream scenario, won't it? But in reality, we don't know yet whether he's going to return this season or not. But somebody who is around, and you mentioned it earlier, Kate, is Taiwo Awoniyi. Given the struggles that they're having in front of goal, he didn't even make the bench, as you said earlier, against Liverpool, and neither did Nets. So why not? Why? Given if you're in a struggling team that can't score goals, and you have a striker who, not too far away, scored that wonder goal, as you call it, why aren't you putting him on the bench?
I don't know, because he's also got Premier League experience, and he's also got height, and he's also got muscle. So for me, there is absolutely a role for him to come off the bench, and given the impact that had the last time it happened, I don't understand why we're not looking at that as a positive and utilising it where we can. I don't understand. I don't have an answer for that, Simon.
Yeah, I think tactically as well, the Canate particularly have been bullied by Jesus for most of the game, hadn't he, outside the penalty box, and bringing on someone like Taiwo, who's going to bully you even more physically, would have made I think it would have made sense. Obviously we don't know much about Luca, and it was very windy by the end of the game, and he was unable to judge the ball in the air at all, was he? That's an excuse, I know, but it didn't hurt the defenders. He didn't make it hard for them. He didn't really do much. He's got a subtle touch on him, which is interesting, but you think someone like Taiwo would have hurt them a lot more. The Mets thing, we don't. Fullbacks don't win you games, do they? That's just cover for injury.
Yeah, right. Before we move on, do want to look at Forest's remaining fixtures alongside those of Spurs and West Ham. But have you got a Mollo's moment for us this week?
That's easy. That is easy. As soon as that VAR came, albeit we didn't get the outcome in the end, but that first VAR moment when they'd scored and I hadn't considered it could be disallowed, and then it had VAR checking for handball, and that explosion of celebration like it was a goal and giving them what for easily. So weirdly, as much as I hate VAR, it was VAR that gave us our best moment.
Yeah, and it's the biggest cheer Anthony Taylor is ever going to get at the City Ground, I think.
Yeah.
And it was, even in that moment, it was all about him, wasn't it? Because he
up to
delivered
that
the
point,
announcement.
Up to that point, my moment was when, I forget who it was exactly, it might have been Anderson, smashed the ball and it cracked Van Dijk straight on the side of the head. And for about the next 10 minutes, he stopped actually trying to ref the game and let Anthony Taylor ref the game, which is probably not a good thing as well. That was very amusing. And then once he got his senses back, he got back to reffing the game with Anthony Taylor, didn't he? But that would have been it. I thought that deserves a special mention.
Yeah, right. Quickly, man of the match it was a performance worthy of a man of the match. You said earlier, Kate, you weren't sure who was going to get it because it could have gone to anyone. But who have you finally settled on?
I think I'm going to go with Murillo. And I almost went Sangare, and then I almost went for Nico, but I'm going to go with Murillo. And he's just awesome. He's the difference, and he was the difference again. And so yeah, I'm going to go with Murillo. Okay,
good shout, Mollo.
I'm torn between a similar two of those that you mentioned, but also I thought Gibbs White was very, very good in the first half, particularly, and as always worked his socks off. But I think, and the other candidates were obviously any of the back four almost. But I'm going to throw left field, having not played much football. I'm going to throw I can't remember his name now, the keeper in there.
Ortega.
If I know we didn't, but if we had got the draw, he made a couple of incredible saves. Having not had much to do, but he's probably on the day the best passer of the ball, which is sad that we had in terms of accurate passing. His passing accuracy must be right up there, and sometimes they weren't just little tap outs, it was like 30-40 yard passes. So I'm going to go with him, to be fair, just be a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Nico Williams because I thought he was absolutely outstanding, and I can imagine him getting into the dressing room after the game, sitting down, trying to get changed, and then having to realise he needs to take Mo Salah out of his pocket because he did have him in his pocket all game. And I actually had to text a couple of pals who I'm in a WhatsApp group with, who I work with, who are Liverpool supporters, and I actually sarcastically asked them if Mo Salah was actually playing or not because he was anonymous, especially in the first half. And what a fall from grace Mo Salah has had this season. He's not been the same, has he? And credit to Nico Williams for keeping him quiet. So that's why he got my man of the match this week. So on the way after the game, Steve Hodge was giving his analysis on Radio Nottingham, and he reckoned they need 4 wins out of the remaining 12 games to stay up. And it got me thinking, okay, well, where are those 4 wins going to come from? So we'll each give our thoughts on. I hope you've had a look at the fixtures, or you know who we're playing, because we're going to go through and see if we can each pick our 4 wins very quickly, and then excuse me, we're going to compare it to the games that West Ham and Spurs have got left, because realistically it's looking like the last relegation spot is going to be between West Ham, Forest and Spurs. Let's assume that for now. So we'll start with UK. Forest need 4 wins. Which of the games do you think they're going to come from, and why?
So I take this kind of thing very seriously, Simon. So I've sat down and I've gone through all the fixtures for each 3 teams. I know this isn't quite the question you asked. I've got Forest getting 16 points, West Ham getting 11 and Spurs getting 15, which does relegate West Ham, which has made me feel a little bit better. But also bear in mind that I am absolutely terrible at the Dancast prediction league, so this is probably none of this is going to come to fruition. So I've got us beating Brighton on Sunday. I do think that's a possibility. Okay, and we've got to go for any possibilities here. I've got us beating Spurs at Spurs, which again is difficult but doable. I've got us beating Burnley, which sticks in my throat because, again, that's exactly the one that we should be winning, and therefore classically often the one that we don't. And then I have got us beating Bournemouth on the last day.
Ooh.
Okay,
Just because that is when they fight for their lives and Chris Wood comes back.
I don't think he'll be back.
Right, Mollo, that's good selection of games there that Forest can win, Kate. But Mollo, have you gone for the same or different?
I'm going that we're probably going to need to draw 3 and win 3 as well, if that makes sense. Because so I'm not going to go for every game. So if I was to say Man City away, Sunderland, Chelsea away, Man United away, Newcastle, that would be typical of Forest, wouldn't it? Like Kate alluded to. But for me, I think Fulham and Burnley are key. Tottenham is massive, absolutely massive, but I worry because it's away from home. And listening to their fans in the North London derby, when they knew it was important, they didn't get on their players' backs until the game was gone. So if we got an early goal, though, wow. So those 3, and then I just don't see where... I'll rephrase it. I can't predict where the obvious win will come from. I think Brighton away, I'll take a draw because we never do well down there, unless it's an FA Cup, but even then it was a draw, I suppose. So... one I did think about, and it sounds insane because the home record's been really good, but I feel like they're starting to run out of steam a little bit, is Sunderland away. I kind of picked that one as a target because we absolutely battered them at our place but couldn't score, same old story, and then we conceded a crap back post header. Where have we heard that all before? But they're very beatable.
I've got that as a draw, and Fulham as a draw.
So I'm going to go the obvious ones, Burnley, Tottenham, because if we don't beat Tottenham then we're in trouble anyway. But Burnley, Tottenham, Fulham, because Fulham are mid-table and hopefully won't be bothered, and then I'm going to go Sunderland. But I'd much prefer in fact, if we won those 4, they're all quite early, so we'd have time to win some more games.
Yeah, I mean that's very similar to what I've got. I've got Brighton is a winnable game. I know they won at the weekend, but I was listening to the Forest Focus pod earlier, and Paul Morley said on there maybe that's a good thing for Forest because it takes the pressure off them a little bit, so they might not be as keen. So Man City away, obviously not hoping, hoping for something, but not expecting anything. But the Fulham game week 30 in 3 games' time is going to be really, really important. I haven't got that down as a Forest win. It's not one of my 4. But if they can win that week, because Spurs have got Liverpool away and West Ham have got Man City at home, so that'll be an ideal week for Forest to grab 3 points, considering who the other 2 are playing. However, I've not got them winning that game. I've got them winning at Spurs. I think Spurs are doable. They're in free fall at the minute. So as it stands right now, I can see Forest playing the way they have in going away and nicking a win. Then you've got Villa. Villa again is another key pivotal game because Spurs have got Sunderland and West Ham have got Wolves that same week. Having said that, though, the next 2, Burnley and Sunderland, I have got Forest down as winning both of those to get the 4 that we need, because I think you alluded to it in a pod a couple of weeks ago. You don't want to go into May having to get results because we've got a really difficult finish with Chelsea away, Newcastle, Man United, then Bournemouth last day. We don't beat Bournemouth at home. It's I'm dreading that game. If it comes down to the wire and we need that game to win or to stay up, then I'm not holding out much hope because Bournemouth seem to have
there is a game in there though that I considered, and the one I didn't mention it, and a lot of it depends on the injury situations, but Villa currently have no midfield, so to speak. I've been unfair. They've got Douglas Luiz, so they've got no midfield.
So they've got no midfield.
Yeah. But in comparison to the midfield they have had that absolutely blew us away, they've got him and they've got Ross Barkley, who I think has been a terrific talent, but he hasn't played for a year, has he? And when I've watched a bit of Villa recently, he looked a little bit off the pace. Now, 2 things could happen. 1, they could get players back. Or 2, Ross Barkley in particular could get up to pace, and he is a very, very talented footballer. But that is a team that is potentially beatable. Well, I'd rather beat them if we end up playing them in the Europa, to be fair. But that's another one. Well, we've got to go a game at a time, haven't we? We've got to target every game, obviously. But you can make a case to win or lose all of them, can't you, with being Forest?
I think, does that quarter-final or semi-final of the Europa League, does that fall around the same time as the Villa game, or is it the round before?
I can't remember.
Because if it does, we could be playing Villa 3 times in a week, potentially.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
But anyway, let's look at the Spurs fixtures then. They've got Fulham away, Palace at home, Liverpool away, Forest at home, Sunderland away, Brighton at home, Wolves away, Villa away, Leeds at home, Chelsea away, Everton at home.
That's
So I've got them.
Running.
Yeah, I've got them winning perhaps 5 of those. Palace, Leeds and Everton at home, Sunderland, Wolves away, I think are winnable. And then West Ham look to have the most difficult of all, I think. And I know you think this as well, Kate, because you got them to go down in your predictions. But they've got next 2, both away at Liverpool and Fulham. Then they've got Man City and Villa. So that's a hard run of 4. Then they've got Wolves at home, Palace away, Everton at home, Brentford away, and their last 3 are Arsenal at home, Newcastle away, and Leeds at home.
Instagram teen accounts have automatic protections for what teens see and who can contact them, plus time management tools. And Instagram will continue adding built-in safety features to help create age-appropriate experiences. Learn more about teen accounts and Instagram's ongoing work to protect teens online at instagram.com/teen accounts.
So they've got a pretty tricky run in, and I've
And
only
then
got
they'll
them.
be targeting that Fulham game as well, won't they, in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I've only got them beating Wolves, Everton and Leeds at home. I haven't got them winning any of their away games, so I've only got them winning 3, which obviously will help a lot.
Winning home games, Tottenham?
That's West Ham.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing is that, again, maybe it's because we were scared, but West Ham have definitely improved a lot, and they look a much improved side. They should have beat Bournemouth, shouldn't they, at the weekend?
Oh, yeah, they should have done.
But didn't.
I think they have improved a lot, but they are some really difficult fixtures. That is a lot of shocks that you've got to do. And even if they manage to pull off 1 or even 2, that is a lot of shock results, which has made me feel a little bit better, because if you don't get the shocks early on, then that momentum that they're starting to build, which has potentially led to us sacking Dyche, actually dissipates quite quickly. So I am putting my hope, a lot of my hope, into that, because there are some really, really tough games for West Ham. I mean, tough games for all of us. They're all tough games.
Did you say Liverpool next week?
Yeah, Liverpool away, West Ham.
They're nothing to be worried about on what they showed at ours.
Yeah, Liverpool at home, though, is a different proposition, isn't it?
Hope so.
But lots to play for. Lots to play for. I know, Kate, we were going to do a quiz, weren't we? And we should have done it a lot earlier than now, because we're not far off the end of the show. But let's do the quiz very quickly. Then we'll talk about Fenerbahce coming up on Thursday night, and then we'll go back to the quiz again at the end. And I know you've got an interesting one this week.
Yeah, it's not particularly difficult. It's just I just like it, and it actually fits in quite nicely, because Pierre Van Hooijdonk, who played for both Fenerbahce and Nottingham Forest. Okay, I've got 2 questions regarding Pierre Van Hooijdonk. Okay, the first one being, how many goals did Pierre Van Hooijdonk score for Forest in the 97-98 season, helping them to get promoted? And then after that, in the infamous season where he went on strike, how many games did he miss on strike? Ooh. So there's your 2 questions. How many goals did he score for us in promotion season? And then the following season, he went on strike after we sold Kevin Campbell. How many games did he miss of that season when he was on strike?
League games?
Yeah.
I've got an idea on the number of goals, but I'll come back to that at the end. Let's come back to it at the end. but I've got a good idea on goals. Games missed, I'm not really sure. I do remember the game. The game he came back. It was Derby, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was 2-2. He scored and ran off and celebrated on his own, didn't he?
Yeah, no one would celebrate with him. That's right. Yeah,
that was Trent. That was it. I was in the Trent end for that one.
He ran to the Trent end, didn't he?
Yeah, it was at the Trent end. Yeah. Okay, right. Let's talk about Fenerbahce then. Obviously, 3-0 win in the first leg. I said to Mollo on our review episode, Kate, that I was still a little bit scarred by Yeovil and Swansea and all of the other calamities that we've suffered over the years. So I'm not counting my chickens just yet. Didn't get a chance to talk to you, unfortunately, because you were still travelling back from Turkey. But where do you stand going into this home leg 3-0 ahead? Are you confident? Are you planning your next trip already, or are you kind of a little bit hesitant right now?
Do you know, at half-time, there was one word on everybody's lips during that game, and it was Betis. And then, obviously, we went on and finished it off, and it felt fantastic. And I have to echo everything that you said, Mollo. Incredible place, incredible experience. Got nothing but good things to say about that trip. Everybody is being very, very careful, aren't they, to not say about planning the next trip without using the word if. If we don't mess it up, if we don't capitulate, at the City ground, they get the first goal and then we go to pieces and we watch it all fade away in front of us. You can see it. You've been there. You've experienced it. We are Forest and this is what we do. However, Fenerbahce are a team of veterans. I think that's something that you mentioned on the blog, because we did listen to it on the way home. And I do think we are absolutely capable of keeping them out for 90 minutes at the City ground. I do think we've got that. I think that he will rest some players, but I still think he'll go pretty strong and hopefully will take those players off rather than missing them out of the squad entirely. That's what I'm hoping he's going to do, because they don't have to go all out full strength like they did against Liverpool in order to keep that Fenerbahce team out. They don't. So if we can start reasonably strong, if we can contain them for most of the first half, then I think we're good. My only worry would come if they got an early goal. If they got an early goal, the crowd would go to pieces with post-traumatic stress, as we've already mentioned. We'd be right back there, wouldn't we? We'd be right back there in Yeovil. We'd be right back there looking at goal difference for, qualifying for the playoff. Sheffield, I can't. See, it's already getting to me. So my thinking is we are absolutely capable of keeping them out, and that's all we need to do. We don't even need to worry about scoring a goal because we've scored 3. We just have to keep them out. And we can and we should. Have I already started planning my next trip? I've had a little look.
I've realised I've done a massive faux pas because I'm a little bit superstitious. I like routines. I like things to be the same. However, sometimes you might have to do something a little bit different. And I haven't realised that Yeovil game that we've mentioned, I sat on the front row of the Peter Taylor stand, pretty much behind the away dugout for that one. And it was, obviously, what happened. It was a complete disaster. Where am I sitting for Fenerbahce, Mollo? Where did I tell you I was sat yesterday?
Front row of the Peter Taylor stand, I believe.
Yeah, just to the left of the away dugout. So already I've realised I've done a massive faux pas in terms of where I'm going to sit. So it's
you'll be
all
right
my
by
fault.
Me though, Simon, so I can give you a wave as we go crashing out the Europa.
Yeah.
I've already told him it's not going well. Just come and stand up with us again on the shelf.
Yeah. Mollo, have you planned your next trip yet? Because it's either going to be Betis or Midtjylland, isn't it? Which is unfortunate because you like to travel to new places, don't you? And I know Midtjylland will be a new place, but it's not
because
a new
of the
team.
hassle of I'm I'm hoping it's Betis, if I'm honest now, just because the hassle of travelling to and the days off you need and all that sort of stuff. I hope it's Betis. Seville was a great place to go. We had fun last time, but there's 10,000 stadium at Midtjylland. It's a little village in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, the accommodation's dirt cheap and massive with swimming pools and everything, apparently. Not that I've been looking. And you can get flights for a reasonable price. But then you've got to sit on a bus for about 400 days. Or if you fly straight into the nearest airport an hour away, it's quite a lot more expensive. It's just not a very accessible place. But they are very much, without being disrespectful, because we've managed to lose to them once, they're very much a lesser side than Betis, I would argue. Certainly over two legs, but beggars can't be choosers. We'll see what happens and take it from there. But yeah, I can't see Fenerbahce scoring, and the reason I say that is everything we say about our post-traumatic stress is absolutely right, but these are much better players that we're dealing with. My one that really sticks in my mind that was less important was being 86 minutes 3-0 up against Norwich, for instance. So the worry with Forest is we could go to 60 minutes at 0-0, bring off the big hitters and it all go pear-shaped. And that's the other danger. If you bring off the big hitters and it starts to turn, it's hard to change the momentum. Yeah, can't bring them back on again, unfortunately. No, just go full. I just think go more or less full strength. You've got, that's terrible, but you've got to start with Murillo. Murillo is our key player. I'm probably harsh not giving him man of the match, thinking about it, because there was 2 or 3 interceptions he made, and he made it look easy. And I turned to the lad next to me and I said, that's why Morato looks bad, because no one else can do that. I honestly think if Morato played alongside Murillo, he would be twice the player we've seen. Because we've seen Milenkovic is superb, but he always looks better with Murillo there. So start with Murillo, be strong, and then yes, you can make your changes. But they've proved this week they had to put a lot of energy in against Fenerbahce, and then we outplayed Liverpool. That wasn't that poor. The inability to score had nothing to do with the Fenerbahce game, did it? And what they've been through. So. We'll see. Yeah, there's been talk in the media about Elliot Anderson not being happy he was substituted against Liverpool, and maybe the manager had half an eye on Thursday with that in mind. But is there a case where he needs to have a bit of a rest? I don't think so. No. I think, like you guys, he needs to be in from the start and he needs to play as much as possible. But we haven't talked about that actually, so I forgot it was something I meant to put. And I don't want to look back, I want to look forwards. But those substitutions continually weakened us on Sunday. Certain players you kind of need to leave on for the whole game. Murillo being an obvious one, and both centre halves. And Anderson's one of those because of the way he wins the ball back. And it's no disrespect to Dominguez at all, who did well. But if that was Anderson one-on-one with Szoboszlai, I don't think he gets the cross in as easily. I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm not saying it's Dominguez's fault by any stretch of the imagination. And bringing on Dominguez made absolute sense, but I think bringing him on for Anderson absolutely did not. Bakwa? Really? I think that a backward step. The thing is, he's a professional footballer. He's got a good pedigree in another league. Kate might have noticed this because we were in the stadium for so long watching the shooting drills. He was smashing balls into the top corner under a bit of pressure from the shooting drill. So he's obviously got the talent and the ability to do things, but so far he hasn't had the confidence to do anything much in the actual game. So why on earth he came on, I will never know. No. You missed my pun there, Mollo. You were in full flow. Yeah, sorry. Yes, I chose to be the spoiled child and ignore the dad joke. Tumbleweed moment, but would Bakwa be in your mind to start against Fenerbahce or give him a chunk more minutes or not? For Fenerbahce, maybe. Yeah, no. Fenerbahce I'm talking about. No. He's not ready. He's not ready. We've alluded to this in other things.
I can't see any scenario where I would be saying, let's put Bakwa on. I just can't. I'm sorry. Okay. That might be really harsh. But we're all confident, though, that Forest can get into the next round of 16. And I want Denmark because I've never been.
You'll never go again as well when you bought a beer.
Where are Midtjylland? Are they in Norway or are they Denmark?
No, Denmark.
It's Denmark.
No,
it's
it is
4 hours from Copenhagen or 4 hours from
well,
what was the other airport? Aarhus, or about an hour and a bit from Billund.
is it 3 hours in a car when you drive, Kate?
That's right, yeah.
Downhill.
Let's go!
Yeah, white knuckle rides.
Yeah.
Right,
But it's 4 hours from getting off the plane, though.
I need the extra
Way.
insurance. Let's just go.
Right, let's finish off with the quiz then, Kate. Remind us again of the couple of questions you have for us, please.
So Pierre van Hooijdonk, who played for both Fenerbahce and Nottingham Forest. Your first question is how many goals did he score in the 97-98 season, helping Forest to get promoted? So what's your answer for that?
36.
I had 40 in my mind.
34. We're both giving him extra credit there. We don't give him
I'm
extra
including
credit.
cup goals.
You might have done. Yeah.
I don't know. I just
Maybe I was.
No, I think we went out both the cups, didn't we? Quite quick.
Yeah, maybe I was thinking career goals because out that side of that season he didn't play a lot, which leads us nicely into your second question, I think.
I'm clueless. I'm going to guess.
Strike,
Do you want to go first and I'll go higher or lower?
I think he missed 6 games.
Ooh, I think
Higher.
8.
11.
11, wow.
The first 11 games of the season before he came back. And I've had a really interesting time in delving into that today and watching like the interviews of the players and the managers around when it happened and what happened and, you know, altercations that they had with him and feel it's just been taking myself down a very interesting rabbit hole. But yeah,
always good to hear
goals.
Harry Bassett talking about him.
Yeah.
And Crosley, yeah, not a fan.
Right. That brings us nicely to the end of the show. Kate, any final thoughts from you?
No, I don't know what to say, Simon. It was traumatic yesterday. I was in a state when I got home. It helps to come on the pod and talk it out. It does.
It's therapeutic.
I hope it helps for people that are listening. Got to score some goals.
Yeah, Mollo, anything from you?
Well, I'm intrigued if it happens how they're going to fit in. I've discussed the whole. You don't have a squad limit in the Championship. Champions League and Championship is my next bet I'm putting on.
You mean next season Forest in the Championship and the Champions League?
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't that be... I don't think that's ever happened before anyway, has it?
No. The reason I'm putting a bet on is I'm the worst gambler in the world when it comes to actually winning things, so it'll be like a £2 bet. I'm not...
Yeah.
If I do that, it safeguards us.
Can you imagine the havoc with the fixture list that's going to play?
That's what I was talking about. There's so many Champions League weeks that are Championship weeks as well. We would be able to, in theory, because there's no limit on... We could pick our 20, whatever it is, 5-man squad for the Champions League and get players invested in it. Then we'd have 46 other games where we could bring in a few journeymen, like people like Sam Morsey or whatever, just to throw names out there that are clearly not Premier League players, that would jump at the chance to join a team with the possibility of getting a Champions League game, even though they probably wouldn't. And then you'd have this huge squad of players. You'd be able to attract players to compete on both fronts, which is absolutely insane when you think about it. But I don't want it to happen, obviously.
Awful, no.
Given a choice, I'd take the Champions League and relegation.
That's going to be a whole new podcast if that happens, isn't it?
Did you say you take the Champions League and relegation?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know why.
I'll take a trophy. I've been relegated, half a dozen times in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And we always bounce back eventually.
And if you get in the Champions League, you've got hopes of retaining the likes of Murillo, Gibbs-White and Anderson because they're going to be playing Champions League. That is the only way. And this, again, it's a conversation for another podcast. If we want to keep those 3 players and we go down, that's the only way. They're going to be off if we go down, aren't they, realistically?
Yeah. So I'm not for a minute saying I want it. And the 2 aren't mutually exclusive, of course, but...
They are not.
I'm knocking on a bit. I haven't seen us win a trophy. I haven't seen us win a trophy since I was about Ellie's age. So I'd like to
win a
trophy.
Final? Playoff final.
Yeah, I suppose you can count that in a sense. But you know, one of the big trophies since we beat, was it Oldham was our last one, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
I was about 22, 23 back then, and it was mega. But I thought it'd be doing it every year, and nothing comes close to that trophy-winning feeling at a cup final, or Wembley, or wherever. You know,
absolute madness, the pair of you.
Right,
I'm not one of these modern Premier League fans. Sorry, Kate, where it's all about the money. It's all about the glory.
I just think it would be so hard for us to get back up. It's taken us this long, and for me, I mean, I'd love to win a trophy. I absolutely would, but not at the cost of our Premier League status. Never.
Right.
The last time we went down, though, there weren't the financial, you know, parachute payments on the scale that they are to be out muscling them, and the difference would be we wouldn't just have the parachute payments, we'd have I was talking
Manchester would stay if we went down.
Yeah, he would. Yeah.
They would if we're in the Premier League.
Right. On that note, we'll draw it to a close. Listeners, viewers, what say you? Drop us a comment. Would you accept Forest winning the Europa League to get in the Champions League and relegation to the Championship? Would you be happy with that or not? Let us know.
I won't be happy.
No. In the meantime, thanks everyone for listening or watching. Please leave us a rating or a review. That will be very much appreciated. We'll be back later in the week when hopefully, fingers crossed, Forest have not done a Yeovil and they're actually through to the next round of the Europa League. But thanks again, and speak to you all soon.